Hey everybody, Jennifer Lee Chan here from NBC Sports Bay Area. It is after the first on-field practice of the 49ers of the 2025 training camp, and great news, Jauan Jennings practiced. I think that's the headline of the day. Jauan Jennings out there, he had bluish, like blue raspberry slurpy colored hair this time, and I think he's had red, he's had yellow, so a little bit of blue this time. He was out there with all the wide receivers doing individual drills, and then he did participate in 11 on 11s. Now, there are some players that did not, but most of everybody outside of injury guys, pup list guys, they all participated in individual drills. Trent Williams, Christian McCaffrey did not participate in 11 on 11s, but almost everybody else did sparingly. I did see George Kittle out there. The first play of 11 on 11s, Brock Purdy, deep route, all the way to the end. Corner route is what George Kittle called it. Completion probably would have been a touchdown. After practice, George Kittle explained that Demo dropped him. He was supposed to stay with him. Normally, he doesn't get that route. Normally, he doesn't even run that far. But play broke down, misassignment by Deommodore Lenoir, and Brock Purdy found him. It would have been a touchdown, George Kittle. And those two have had great chemistry. George had his 4,000-yard season in 2024, and I think it's only going to get better, or at least be consistent. George Kittle and Brock Purdy worked out together a lot in Nashville. And so while Brock Purdy worked out with Jacob Cowing and Ricky Pearsall prior to minicamp, he bought a house in Nashville and he was working out with all of the tight ends and George Kittle. So I think there's a little bit extra bonding there between Brock Purdy and George Kittle. Other news, as I mentioned, Jacob Cowing pulled a hamstring. I did post a video of Jauan Jennings running around. It was Demarcus Robinson, Jauan Jennings, and then Jordan Watkins. And you can see number 19 kind of crossing around, jogging over, pulled his hamstring during routes on air today. So Jacob Cowing could miss some time. Now, Ricky Pearsall also dealing with a hamstring injury. He is set to come back. Hopefully, he hit his miles per hour or miles, whatever they call it, their velocity. He hit that over the weekend, but they want to be careful with him. So they're going to work him back in probably Sunday or Monday. So today is Wednesday. That is the first day of practice. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. They have Saturday off. 3 practices and then Saturday. Sunday is their 4th practice without pads on. Monday, pads go on. So just so you know what the schedule is. Ricky Pearsall should come back on Sunday or Monday, is what Kyle Shanahan is predicting, or that's his prognosis. Jacob Cowing, we're not sure how long he's going to be out. So he did say he pulled a hamstring, could be out for some time, had a setback. So kind of an injury to keep an eye out for. Ricky Pearsall, all the other pup guys were, and that's physically unable to perform. Those guys were working out with the trainers on the side field. Now, it's a whole new configuration of a field. The part of the field that was in front of the weight room is now grass and not turf, so they can actually use that. So the field runs from Levi Stadium and away from it, as opposed to parallel to Levi Stadium. For those of you that have tickets to camp, hopefully they do a little bit more activity closer to your side, but most of the team activity happened really kind of far away from training camp. So we'll see what happens going forward. But Kyle Shanahan said they are going to make some adjustments on what part of the field they're using and where and why and how, because it wasn't all totally according to his liking, but he said he didn't want to change everything on day one. He's going to give it a couple days. They're going to use the same configuration for the first couple days. I think the first 3, and then kind of assess from there. So speaking of the way the field is set up, field goal is now, the uprights are now permanent. They don't move. Previously, they'd have to wheel them in and out, because previously the 2 fields were only 80 yards long. So now they have a full 120-yard field. It does give them a little bit more room to work, but hopefully they work on the end closer to the fans maybe tomorrow. Probably they will at some point, because they don't want to wear out the grass furthest away from them. But the uprights are closest to Levi Stadium. Kicker competition, Jake Moody. He made 4 of his 4. And interestingly, Nick Bosa is paying attention. So it is Jake Moody and Greg Joseph. I don't know why I always forget his name, but Greg Joseph and Jake Moody are competing obviously for the kicking position. I think it's going to, I think they've kind of got most of their eggs in the Jake Moody basket, but we'll see. Both of them made 4 of 4 today, and with the upright staying the same direction and staying solid, they are kicking perpendicular to Levi's though, so it's not giving them I know the wind swirls around in there, but they're not kicking the same direction that they would be if they were in the stadium. So I don't know how they're going to end up, if that ends up being a good thing or a bad thing. But anyways, otherwise, practice, we got our first look at Alfred Collins doing drills. That is a huge man. So Alfred Collins, but when he's standing out there next to Michael Williams, who is also very large, but just not as beefy. He doesn't look as big as he does when he was standing on the sideline by himself. This defensive line looks big. Bryce Huff is shorter, but he's like wider. Alfred Collins is also big and wide. Michael Williams is tall. CJ West is wide. There's a lot of meals being eaten on this defensive line, and I expect them to eat also on the field during games, if they can play to their potential. Now, Nick Bosa talked about taking on a leadership role and being a mentor for these guys, when previously he really was only concerned with getting better every day himself and putting his best product on the field, coming into work every day, getting better. Now he wants to bring everyone along with him, and he realizes how much he has to do to make that happen. So I watched him throughout practice, and he did a little 11 on 11 work, but during individual drills, he went kind of up to each new guy, little banter, maybe a little coaching. And then after each play, guys are coming out, and he would kind of chat up his defensive line group. So bonding is going on in that defensive line room. I think they're going to be the key to the 49ers defense. Brock Purdy had an okay day. He had some good connections with obviously that first pass to George Kittle, but he did throw 2 interceptions today. One was tipped at the line very early in practice. I don't know who tipped it, but it kind of fluttered. So it's kind of like a lame duck pass. Jason Pinnock dove for it, caught the ball. That was the first interception. The second interception was D. Winters, jumped the route, kind of cut it off. Looked like it was a slant. I don't know who it was intended for. We are watching all 22, so you see the pick, and I didn't actually see anyone around him. And everybody I asked several of my colleagues, and no one knew who the pass was intended for. So Brock Purdy 2 interception day. That's Jason Pinnock and D. Winters. And Fred Warner said D. Winters ready to take that next step. Thought he had a really, really good OTAs. And so I think he's going to be in tight competition with Nick Martin, and we'll see how he does. I didn't see a whole lot from him today. I was kind of focusing more on the offense, watching Isaac Guerrero take those kind of choice route, kind of check down passes. We saw a lot of him. So pretty, relatively efficient day. Rotation on the offensive line. Trent Williams didn't go out there, so Spencer Burford was at left tackle. We saw Jordan James a little bit at running back as well. Left guard was kind of on a rotation as well because Ben Barch is out with a quad injury. He should also be back soon. A lot of these guys, every guy that is out that's not an ACL should be back short term. So that's Ben Barch, that's Andre Dillard, that's Ricky Pearsall. Those guys should be making their way back soon. So that is my update. It is late. I know it's almost 9 o'clock, and I'm posting this now. If you don't know, I live in LA, and I bounce back and forth because I have other responsibilities like teaching Pilates. So I got to do that in the morning before I head back up to training camp. So sometimes these videos are late, but I'm still going to do them for you. Let me know who you'd like to see. I posted a ton of short videos of what happened on the field, and I'll post some more of those coming up before I go to bed. But I'm tired. Hope you guys are well. Day 1 of training camp. That is a wrap. Bye.